on, guys? It's J-Mass, and I'm back again with another dope New England adventure. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you like waterfalls?
No, I actually hate waterfalls. They suck.
Shut the fuck up, Clarence! Nobody asked you! Sorry. Well, if you do like waterfalls, unlike Clarence, well, you're in luck because today we're going to be exploring a bunch of different waterfalls in Berkshire County, Massachusetts. Now, Berkshire County is actually the westernmost county here in Massachusetts, also one of the most rural parts of the state. And Berkshire County has a lot of waterfalls to offer. Now, Massachusetts as a whole has a lot of great waterfalls, but a lot of my favorites are actually here in this westernmost part of Massachusetts. So in this video today, we're just going to be exploring a bunch of different waterfalls throughout the Berkshires of Massachusetts. So join me. We're going to be checking out a bunch of different ones all throughout this county and several different towns. I'm really excited to check them out because I myself am an avid waterfall lover. I absolutely love them, find them gorgeous and stunning. So, let's just rush right into it today. We're going to be exploring several different waterfalls throughout the Berkshires here in Massachusetts. If you guys are excited for that, stay tuned. And as always, if you love urban exploration, checking out abandoned sites, and exploring New England, I'm always doing that on this channel, so feel free to subscribe to the channel, or you can follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. But we're going to get right into it and explore several different waterfalls throughout Berkshire County here in the state of Massachusetts. I'm really excited, and if you're an avid waterfall lover, except you, Clarence, well then stay tuned. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so the very first waterfall that I visited on my trip was Tannery Falls in Savoy, Massachusetts. This is located in Savoy Mountain State Forest, and I gotta say, it was absolutely stunning. This waterfall in its entirety is 80 feet tall, one of the tallest waterfalls I saw on this trip. Now, to get there, it's actually a very steep walk. You have to go down these stairs, down a very steep hill. But when you get to the base of the waterfall, it is well worth it. It's a super beautiful and gorgeous scene with the rushing waters pouring down into Tannery Brook. I absolutely loved it. Definitely one of my favorite waterfalls I saw on this trip, and I'd never been there before, so it was really cool to visit. So if you're ever in Savoy, Massachusetts, definitely check out Tannery Falls. It's a very quick hike from the parking lot at the trailhead. Not too strenuous. Would highly recommend it to anyone. So the next two waterfalls that I visited on this trip were waterfalls that I actually have been to before, and they were the Twin Cascades in the town of Florida, Massachusetts. Now, the Twin Cascades are located to the right of the notorious Hoosick Tunnel East Portal, a landmark that I've actually filmed twice on this channel before. Now, the Twin Cascades are absolutely stunning. They're two double waterfalls located right next to each other, and they are really, really tall. The waterfall on the left is a whopping 80 feet tall, and the one on the right, although a little smaller, is still an impressive 60 feet tall. Now, these waterfalls are gorgeous, very stunning. However, I will say the hike to get to them is a bit more treacherous. You start at the Cascade Brook trailhead and go down the Cascade Brook Trail. Now, along the way, you'll actually see a couple other very small cascades. But I will say the hike there, you're going basically on the edge of a hill. The trail isn't really well marked in some places, and you have to do a bit of rock jumping. So I will say the Twin Cascades are a little tougher to access. Probably not a place to bring small kids with you. But still, absolutely gorgeous waterfalls. And it's cool. You get two for the price of one. Two really tall waterfalls right next to each other. The next waterfall is another one that I have visited before, and that was the Cascades in the city of North Adams, Massachusetts. Now, this one is a little weird to get to. You actually have to park at a school that's much farther away. Then you have to navigate through a couple different suburban neighborhoods and streets until you finally reach the trailhead, and then from there you have another 25-minute hike until you reach the Cascades. But that being said, it is absolutely worth it. Like the others, the Cascades is a gorgeous location. It's a 45-foot tall waterfall that feeds into Notch Brook, and it's very scenic. There is a bit of rock hopping at the very end, but the trail itself is actually really easy. Would highly recommend it to families in the area. And once you get there, it's nestled into a little nook. Really scenic location. I love it. It's pretty fun to walk up, hop on the rocks, and get up to the waterfall. I do love the Cascades, so if you're in the North Adams area, could not recommend it enough. Next up, I visited Pecks Falls in nearby Adams, Massachusetts. This is a waterfall that I'd never been to before, but upon arriving, I really found myself enjoying it. This waterfall is a lot shorter than the others we've visited so far, at only 12 feet of a drop, but it was still really stunning to see. It filtered into a nice round pool that then fed the Pecks Brook nearby. But I really liked it. Pecks Falls is located in Greylock Glen, which is a park along the slopes of Mount Greylock, the tallest mountain in Massachusetts. And I found Pecks Falls really charming. Even though it's a 12-foot waterfall, I still really like all waterfalls of all shapes and sizes. Also, getting there was pretty easy. The trail was actually quite short, quick and easy. Would highly recommend this to families. And the other thing I liked about it is that you could go right to the top of the waterfalls and see it rushing down. So would highly recommend Pecks Falls to anyone in the area. Very charming, quaint waterfall. Next up, I visited Wahconah Falls in the town of Dalton, Massachusetts. And this is another waterfall that I've actually been to before. Wahconah Falls is a 40-foot waterfall located in the namesake Wahconah Falls State Park that feeds into Wahconah Falls Brook. And getting there is actually pretty easy as well. You park at the parking lot at the top of the trailhead. It's a very quick and easy hike, although a little bit of a steep incline. But I always see families and kids there. It's a very family-friendly place, picnic tables everywhere. And it's a gorgeous, stunning location. You have a huge rocky surface that the waterfall goes down, filtering into a pool below with rocks and boulders that you can jump around. Now, one thing I will say based on the footage I have here, it might seem like a bit of a small waterfall, just a bit of a trickle, but don't let that fool you. Normally, Wahconah Falls gets huge. Unfortunately, I filmed this on a day where the waterfall wasn't that big, but if you look up pictures and videos of it online, Wahconah Falls really does get big. There are days where it's just huge roaring waters, especially days of heavy rainfall. So again, don't let this footage fool you. Wahconah Falls is huge, one of the most popular waterfalls in the Berkshires. Would highly recommend it, but try to go on or after a rainy day so you can see the waterfall in its full force. So next up, I visited Lulu Cascade in the city of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And I do have to admit, this is by far the smallest waterfall that I visited on this trip. Still really cool to see. I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. But this waterfall is actually only 8 feet tall. It's located in Pittsfield State Forest, feeding into Lulu Brook. And it's an 8-foot tall waterfall, but still very gorgeous. It's surrounded by these huge mossy boulders, feeding into a nice little pool with rocks and boulders around that you can climb on. You can go to the very top of the waterfall as well. I liked it a lot. The hike was also pretty easy, so would highly recommend it to anyone in the Pittsfield State Forest. But again, it was a very short waterfall, nothing too crazy. I liked it though, very charming, very quaint. Again, would recommend it, anyone in the area. All right, so I got to rant here for a second because I'm honestly kind of pissed with this next one. So the next waterfall I was planning on covering in this video was Bish Falls in Mount Washington, Massachusetts, which I got to say is easily my favorite waterfall in the state. However, when I actually got to Bish Falls, it was completely closed. The trail was closed. The parking lots were closed. They literally had a state trooper guarding it. Everything was closed. Apparently, it's actually under renovation and won't be open for another month or two. So it figures, of course, when I'm filming a video on waterfalls of the Berkshires, the best waterfall in the Berkshires is closed. I mean, of course, that's just my luck, right? So super annoying. Bish Falls was closed, despite that being, in my opinion, the best waterfall in the Berkshires. But I didn't want to leave it out because it is so integral to this video. So you're actually going to be seeing very old footage of mine. Not very old, but this is actually footage and pictures I took of Bish Falls last fall in October of 2023. And I do have to say I'm really happy with how these came out. But anyways, Bish Falls is located in Mount Washington, Massachusetts, which is actually the very southwest corner of the state. You can actually go through New York to get there as well. It's right on the border of New York. But Bish Falls is gorgeous, feeds into Bish Brook, and the waterfalls themselves are 80 feet tall, super dramatic waterfall. Again, my favorite waterfall in the state of Massachusetts. I really wish I could have filmed this to show you guys more up close and personal, but I love it. This is the one I recommend the most. It is going to be closed for another month or two, but once it reopens, once they finish the renovations, if you're in the Berkshires, could not recommend Bish Falls enough. I love it. So although I wasn't able to film Bish Falls, the next waterfall I visited more than made up for it. And that was Brook Falls in the town of Sheffield, Massachusetts. Now this was without a doubt my favorite waterfall that I saw on this trip. And it was also the tallest waterfall that I saw on this trip, at a whopping 300 feet tall. This thing was 300 feet, super tall waterfall with several different sections of Cascades. And again, my favorite I saw. I absolutely loved it. Now, Brook Falls is located in Mount Everett State Reservation, and while the hike to the base of the waterfall isn't too bad, it's a little long, but pretty straightforward. Once you actually get to the waterfall itself, then it becomes by far the most dangerous and precarious hike of the entire trip. So basically, to get up close and personal to the waterfall, you have to do a lot of boulder jumping and rock climbing, and keep in mind all these rocks are super slippery. There's a lot of logs and rocks shifting around, standing water. It's very dangerous, and especially if you want to get really close and up high in the waterfall. Like the footage that you're seeing right now that I took was very dangerous to get. There was actually a point where I had to slide down a huge boulder to get down from the waterfall. It was a slippery boulder, and as I slid down, I actually cut a majority of my forearm, and it was like bloody for the rest of the trip. It's a very dangerous climb to get up close and personal, but trust me, once you do, it is well worth it. This is actually the closest waterfall I got to. It was like the mist was spraying in my face. I loved it. So again, Brook Falls in Sheffield, Massachusetts, easily my favorite waterfall that I visited on this trip. If we ignore Bish Falls, I loved it. Was absolutely stunning and gorgeous. Very impressive 300-foot waterfall. Just be very mindful at the end that if you want to get up close to it, it's a dangerous hike. So next up, I visited Campbell Falls in the town of New Marlborough, Massachusetts. Now, interesting thing, I actually had to park in Connecticut to get there, and I mostly walked through Connecticut, although once I reached the Massachusetts border, I then had a very steep incline I had to go down to get to the base of the waterfall. So Campbell Falls is located in Massachusetts. It's just right on the border with Connecticut. But Campbell Falls is gorgeous. It's a 50-foot tall waterfall located in Campbell Falls State Park Reserve, fed by the Whiting River. And this was by far the most full-force waterfall I visited on this trip. The water was rushing and roaring when I got there, and you can actually get right up to the water. There is a bit of rock climbing involved, but nothing major. I got right up to the water, had the mist in my face. Again, this thing was roaring and rushing. I absolutely loved it. The hike in general, not too bad. It's just really that steep incline once you hit the Massachusetts border. That's a little rough, but I loved Campbell Falls. Very gorgeous, stunning location. And again, when I went, the most full-force waterfall I saw. And last but not least, this was the final waterfall that I visited during my trip to the Berkshires. This was also located in the town of New Marlborough, Massachusetts, and that was Umpachene Falls. Super gorgeous location. It's located in Umpachene Falls Park, fed by the Umpachene River, and it's a 40-foot tall waterfall with several different cascading ridges. You can actually walk right into the waterfall, which is really cool. This was the only waterfall that I visited where you can literally walk right into the cascading waters. You could swim in it. You can bathe in it. I mean, they really let you actually experience the rushing waters up close and personal compared to the others. So that was really cool. This is probably one of the most family-friendly waterfalls I visited as well. You pull into a parking lot, and the waterfalls are literally right next door to the park itself. There's like virtually no trail. It's just right there. So this is definitely the most family-friendly waterfall I visited. But I absolutely loved Umpachene Falls. It was kind of fun to actually walk into a waterfall and feel it rushing down on my legs. It was a very scenic location. I loved it a lot. It was one of the coolest waterfalls I visited on this trip. Hey, thank you guys for joining me. I've been J-Mass as always, and this has been another dope New England adventure. And in this video, we checked out several different waterfalls throughout Berkshire County, Massachusetts. And yes, if you noticed, I am wearing a completely different shirt than I was in the beginning of the video. That's because this was actually a 2-day trip. I don't think I mentioned that, but this was a 2-day trip, Saturday to Sunday. But anyways, yeah, we checked out a bunch of different waterfalls throughout the Berkshires, actually 9 in fact. Originally I had 10 planned. That would have included Bish Falls in Mount Washington, Massachusetts, which is without a doubt my favorite waterfall in the state. I absolutely love Bish Falls, but unfortunately they were closed down when I got there, and they don't really have any intention of reopening anytime soon. It might be like a month or two. Kind of sucks. Of course, you know, when I'm filming a video about waterfalls in the Berkshires, the best ones close down. Figures. But still, we still saw 9 really great waterfalls throughout the Berkshires. I absolutely loved all of them. And if you guys love waterfalls and hiking and getting out in nature, I would highly recommend checking out all those. You can sort of use this video as some sort of guide if you ever plan on coming out to the Berkshires. But I do want to say, you know, Massachusetts as a whole has a lot of great waterfalls. It's not just the Berkshires. I specifically chose the Berkshires for this video because I love this region. I really love the rural landmarks that it has to offer, including waterfalls. But the entire state of Massachusetts as a whole has a lot of great waterfalls. I just specifically focused on Berkshire County in this one. But if you guys liked this video and you'd be interested in seeing more waterfalls in Massachusetts or just New England at large, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested. I love checking out nature or natural scenery. I would absolutely be down to doing another video similar to this in the future. But as always, guys, my name's been JMass. If you love abandoned exploration, urbex, traveling New England, and waterfalls, well, feel free to subscribe to the channel because I'm always doing that here. Or you can follow me on Instagram at JMassOfficial. That's at JMassOfficial. But yeah, shout out to all my avid waterfall enjoyers out there, you know, including myself. This was a fun one to make. I really liked it. Now, I'm actually out here in the town of Great Barrington, and I think I'm going to go get lunch at my favorite restaurant in the Berkshires. That's actually the Bistro Box. So another recommendation for you. If you're ever in Great Barrington, go to the Bistro Box. But anyways, guys, catch you on the next one. And one thing I want to say, don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. I really hope I don't get a copyright strike for that.